Welcome to episode 3 of the Spittballin Sports Show podcast. I'm your host, Brad Ryder, and with me today, as usual, is my co-host, Eric Lind, and then our producer, Brandon Davis, aka Big Diesel in the back.
Sir.
What's up?
Oh, I love it. Oh, man. Guys, I felt like coming into this week, we were talking like, oh, it's not going to be like a big week for football. And then holy crap, it was a fucking week for football.
Especially college football.
Oh,
we look down upon college football going into this week, but holy hell, did we have some upsets and near upsets as well.
Near upsets. We did have some big upsets too, but man, yeah. The near upsets are what kind of scared me the most. Looking at, the 3 of the top 5 teams having real, two of them I wouldn't say scares. One of them was definitely a scare.
Yeah.
Yikes. Because, just kind of going down. Georgia, I think we kind of saw Georgia might be beatable. If Kent State can put 22 up on Georgia, and Georgia is only going to win by, realistically 2 scores, 13. That's beatable, especially if you're talking a team like an Alabama going in there. Or if you have a well-disciplined USC team going in there. They might be beatable.
Yeah, I don't know. Personally, I think it's just like a fluke game for Georgia because, we know who Georgia is. They've shown who they can be. I think they're still going to be, obviously, in that conversation against Alabama in the SEC championship game. I think their coach is going to have at them after this performance and come back next week and just light up whoever it is they do play.
I think next week's going to be very telling for Georgia if they are able
You also have to remember too. They just come off a SEC win too against South Carolina, and they did destroy Oregon still.
Yeah,
they did destroy Oregon.
I'm pretty sure they probably didn't respect Kent State at all. Kent State popped them in the mouth, and they're like, "Oh shit, we actually got to play.
Okay.
We got to
play football."
Yeah,
there's a couple of teams that did that this week. I feel like on both college and the men's league.
I'm not really stressed about Georgia. They're still the best team. They got freaks all over the field. They're gonna be all right.
I don't think they're not the best team. I think they're absolutely the best team. But we've seen even the best teams in football, period, get beat before. So it's not they could get beat. Doesn't mean it'll happen. But I'm saying it means it shows that they are prone to making mistakes and letting things happen. Then, next one down, top 5, the actual scare. I didn't get to watch this game, so, you put it in here, and I'm like, okay. And then I go and I look at the box score, and I was like, oh, yeah. Michigan? Maryland?
Mm-hmm. I watched bits and pieces of it. Maryland started off hot. And then where it really all fell off for Maryland was that I was like, okay, they're going to take this lead into the half, or at least it's going to be a 3-point game going into the half, but then Michigan rips off a 30-yard run, 30-yard touchdown run, 20 seconds left in the first half. Michigan got the ball right out of the gate in the second half and scored in under a minute, and I think that's sort of where the wheels fell off for Maryland, because I think Michigan ended up going up 2 scores, and they kept that lead until the final possession for Maryland. So I think it would have been a completely different game had Maryland gotten that stop, or maybe had a potential chance to block a field goal at the end of the half. But when you got to play perfect if you're Maryland against a good team like Michigan, and them letting that score in probably kind of dampened the mood going into the half, and the score out of the half is what really chalked it, I think, in my eyes for them.
I think very much you look at that box score and the fact that it the final score and it was only a 7-point game, and you're kind of But then again, I also have to remember Maryland has had some really big upsets on top 5, Power 5, specifically Big Ten schools in the past 5 years. So it's not uncommon for them to do this. It's just I feel like we all kind of expected a little bit better out of Michigan this week with this game.
Yeah, I mean, both teams were coming into this one 3-0, and we knew Maryland had the upset potential. We knew they were a good team. This is a chance for them to make a statement. I still think it's a very good look for them. Playing Michigan this close, having the upper hand in the first half, it's just a couple things didn't go your way, and you ended up losing. But I think if they continue to play well, they could sneak into the rankings here, especially with a close loss to a top 4 team.
Absolutely. Now, a team that I thought had upset potential last week, Wake Forest, came in.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get the win, but man, did they show us Clemson's defense is not that good.
Defense is horrible. I had Clemson -1 in the teaser, so I'll admit I watched the entire second half of this game, and I was kind of shitting my pants a little bit. The Clemson ended up covering, but
they did.
their defense was just the second half, it was back and forth. In the first half, Clemson came out firing, and you're like, oh my god, Clemson's going to destroy Wake Forest again. And then, sure enough, Wake Forest fired right back. The third quarter was really all Wake Forest. They were getting whatever they wanted on offense. 45 points, you got to win a game. But Clemson's offense, like we said, just too many playmakers, too much talent at Clemson, and it ended up beating Wake Forest. But jeez Louise, dude, their defense is just so young and inexperienced, and Wake Forest was getting whatever they wanted on offense, really.
They absolutely were. And I had that...
I was going to say one thing. I know this is going to sound kind of wild. I was actually impressed with Clemson's offense, actually, for once.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I will say, you can talk about how bad defense is. Yeah, defense is shaky as hell, but Wake Forest offense is actually legit.
Yeah, it is.
And it's a legitimate offense. I think they were in the ACC championship last year.
Yeah.
So this team's good. Against Pittsburgh, I think. But this team is this team's Wake Forest was good.
Yeah.
This was gonna be a trap game, but I came out of that game I'm really impressed with Clemson, moving forward. The defense is shaky, but if DJ plays like that,
DJ played outstanding in this one. He almost won me some money, but I lost it on the USC over. But still, he kept me in it. He kept my hopes up. He played really well, and there's been always a big question mark over him because he has never really shown a lot of consistency. For him to come out and have a game like this against another ranked opponent, it's got to be a good sign for Clemson.
You still walk away from that game with a win. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, exactly.
You walk away with a lot of telling information going into the conference play season where, okay, we know the defense needs to tighten up. We know our offense our offense is explosive and we'll be fine on the offensive front. So you can kind of focus and hone in the defense, and you could easily. I don't think we don't expect them to be in the ACC championship game, but if they can tighten up that defense, I think it's a no-brainer at that point.
Oh, yeah, exactly. With the way the offense played, especially.
Yeah, the defense that came out with the game-saving plays at the end and overtime, too.
Yeah.
And, I heard a phrase a long time ago, talking about betting again, Eric. Good teams win, great teams cover.
Great teams cover. But it was a teaser, so Clemson actually didn't cover. I think they were favored by 7.5 points, and I had a 6-point teaser to get them down to -1.
Oh, brother.
So they didn't cover. Wake Forest covered. Clemson.
Wake Forest did come in that situation, but yeah. But let's, Eric, you and I, Big 12. That's all three of us went to a Big 12 school together. I think in all of our years of watching, we always thought Texas was bad. Texas Tech was always a team I got scared to play, especially
in Lubbock.
In Lubbock, but also, at least my first 2 years were Patrick Mahomes. At least my first year was Patrick Mahomes. So it was that was terrifying. Now, Texas Tech isn't as good as kind of they used to be, and Texas has looked really good. But this upset this weekend with those two, wow! It was classic Big 12 football.
It was classic Big 12 football where the team that should win didn't win, and it's going to end up hurting the team that should win in the future. Texas has 2 losses now. There's only one Big 12 loss, but
still,
I don't think this is as much. Personally, this is my opinion. I don't think this is as much of a good look for Texas Tech as it is a bad look for Texas. Because you play Alabama close, everyone's high on you, you win your next 2 games, they're like, all right, Texas is they're here to play. And then you come out and you lay an egg against Texas Tech. Is this was their first Big 12 game?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I didn't watch much of this game, but come on.
Yeah.
didn't watch most of it either. Hudson Card, and I feel like this team would be completely different if Ewers was still playing right now. If he wasn't injured.
Oh, 100%. They would
but Hudson Card was barely the starter. Wanted to be the starter. Sark wanted to be the starter going in, and dude, he's looking like he's gonna have a good place to land where it's not Texas next season because he's not gonna be there next year. Especially with Ewers and Manny in the same room.
Well, Texas should be 4-0 if Ewers didn't get hurt.
If Quinn was there all 4 games, they'd be undefeated right now.
Yeah, for sure.
They'd be probably 14. They'd be in that conversation. But,
they'd be up there for sure.
Yeah, that's 100%. I agree with that. Tech did. They won somehow. They keep on winning these games. They hung around at NC State last week, and they just couldn't score anything.
Yeah.
At NC State, so they're not a bad team. It's they're not Kansas because Kansas is undefeated. But
Kansas is different this year.
Kansas is different this year.
Kansas is different this year. I want to talk about that in a minute.
So I want to have a little chat about Kansas.
Yeah, I want to talk about that in a minute. Absolutely.
But going back to K-State, dude, Adrian Martinez, dude,
well, we're gonna get to that. We're getting that K-State here. I'm literally that's my next point is talking about Texas Tech upsetting Texas. Texas Tech right now is 2 ranked wins.
Mm-hmm.
There's a possible for a 3rd this week because they're going to go and play K-State, who just got ranked because they just knocked down number 6 Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And Eric, you called it.
I called this.
I went back and checked. I did not call it, but I have a text from later in the week where after I heard that K-State is the only team to beat OU twice in the last 2 years, and it was 100%. That makes sense. K-State's the only team that's actually beaten OU besides Oklahoma State, I felt like, when it came to the Big 12. And except for that terrible loss to Baylor at the end of last season. But we won't talk about that. But it very much... I mean, I said at the beginning of the year that K-State was an underdog team, in my opinion, that everyone looked down on K-State, and that K-State was going to come out and really just ball. Had them as dark horses possibly for the Big 12, and even more so for the college football playoff. Obviously, they're not going to go to the college football playoff now, but still, they played a hell of a game. And A.J. Martinez, man, the fact that it didn't work out for him, he was at Nebraska before, I believe.
It makes sense.
Yes,
it didn't work out for him.
I mean, Nebraska, it just goes to show Nebraska is just a terrible program. How does this kid not succeed?
Yeah, I mean,
this Kansas State team looked like a team from the late '90s, early 2000s.
Yeah,
with a freak quarterback, they can run the ball. They don't know how to throw, but they can run the ball.
Absolutely.
It seems like they opened the playbook finally for him.
It kind of looked like when Jordy Nelson used to play for him, and that team that he went on, that they went and were in the Big 12 championship game. That was kind of the year that I remember K-State being decent.
Snyder-esque.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I said it in my little random prediction that I kind of jutted into your thing last week. I said if K-State's going to win this game, I think they're going to win, or I didn't think they were going to win, but it's a possibility. I said if they're going to win, they're going to have to run the ball down their throats and keep the ball out of Dylan Gabriel's hands. They didn't really keep the ball out of Dylan Gabriel's hands. He threw for 4 touchdowns, but they ran the ball. They had 275 yards of team rushing, and 148 of those came from your quarterback with 4 touchdowns. Adrian Martinez just came out of nowhere this week after laying an egg against Toledo last week. I said K-State was going to be pissed off, and they got to change something. Surely they did. Martinez ran the ball 21 times.
Yeah.
4 touchdowns. He didn't look horrible throwing the ball. Threw for a touchdown. I think it was 234 yards, something like that. 234 yards. But there were no turnovers in this game either. So it was touchdown, field goal, punt. That's all it was. And K-State, I mean, they didn't really lose control of the game either. They led early. I think OU tied it at one point, but then K-State pulled away in the second half, and they got that 2-touchdown lead, and that was it. It was, I mean,
they came out swinging, and it was one, like you said, they came out all pedals, all gas, no brakes, just run the ball, and AJ Martinez just kind of came out and said,
let me show you something.
Exactly. His draft stock, let alone in this game, went up.
I'll show you why I was a highly coveted recruit coming out of high school. It just took me 4 years, but I'm going to show you.
Yeah, let me show you something now.
Yeah.
Sorry, I went to a shit program, guys. Like, let me tell you what I'm really bad.
Also, one of my big issues with OU going in this year was their young offensive line. And that was the one key issue I thought they were going to have was offensive line. And dude, they got their asses whooped.
They did.
Yeah,
that D-line whooped their ass
K-State's
so bad.
D-line is good.
Yeah.
Their front seven is always like, I wouldn't say they're a problem, but their run defense and their front seven has always been fairly solid.
I mean,
Very
Gabe
consistently
was running
solid throughout
the
the years.
Gabe he was running on the whole game. Like
Yeah.
he didn't have
First
a
life.
pocket. He kind of.
But it's telling as to how good he is with how many plays he made. He threw for 4 touchdowns. I think he was like close to 400 yards.
I don't
passing.
have it up in front of me. What was Mims's number? Because I felt like Mims
let me
always
see.
was getting the ball, and it was like
I think he caught one. I know he caught a touchdown for sure.
I think he got 2, at least.
Do this here. Mims, he had 4 catches for 87 yards and a touchdown.
I feel like he was in that so much more. Maybe it was just the second half that he was like kind of like where he.
Probably, because that's when, I mean...
Because I felt like every time I like looked at the game and I was like, okay, OU has the ball. Let's see what happens here. He's throwing the Mims, and it's like good because Mims was a guy we all felt like was going to be a top 5 draft or top first round draft pick this year when they had Caleb and everybody and Lincoln Riley there. So I was really happy that he's still getting production and still making things happen with a completely different crew in there.
Yeah, I mean, Gabriel spread the ball around. He threw to 6 different guys. Mims had 4 catches. I think the leading catcher was Eric Gray. He had 7 catches for 45 yards. Other than that, yeah, I mean, he was spreading the ball around. He threw for 330 and 4 touchdowns while running for his life the whole game. So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's telling in itself. But yeah, I mean, huge win for K-State. If they can take care of Texas, I think Texas Tech's riding their both teams are riding their momentum right now. I think that's going to be a game we have to watch out for next week.
I think you're absolutely right, and I can't wait to talk about next week because that game is one in particular that I am very high on. A couple of things I think we need to hit on for this next from this last week. A&M won. A&M still alive.
Somehow.
Somehow.
Well, I'll just tell you, it was because of
like
some
good.
fluke-ass plays.
It wasn't good.
It wasn't a good game or like a good plays by them. I just felt like they just kind of they made some magic happen, which is kind of
That one play was pretty crazy.
I can think
Where
of
they fumbled the ball and the guy just yanked the ball from his teammate, just took it to the house. That was pretty crazy. But everyone, Arkansas should have beat that team by 2 scores. To be honest,
absolutely.
I really think Arkansas is going to get Alabama fits. I really think they will this upcoming week. But I still think Bama's going to win. But Bama doesn't do well with road games. They never did well with road games last year. Even though they won all of them. Yeah. Most of them.
Yeah.
Most of them.
They won them.
Except one, it's A&M. But they never did well on the road. So
Alabama's got a pretty tough schedule coming up here.
I mean, they go Arkansas and then A&M, and then
Arkansas, and then they come back home for A&M, and then they go to Tennessee. And if Tennessee stays hot, that place is going to be rocking.
I want to talk about Tennessee for a minute because holy crap, that offense is insane.
It's air raid. It's air raid in the SEC.
I love it. I've always been a big fan of the passing game in a lot of regards to OSU and the Mason Rudolph era when we were there. But man,
Josh Heupel got his ass straight out of OU.
So good. And I am so freaking proud. I'm happy for that team and the fact that he managed to make it fit in there because he's a dog, and that offense is gonna be one that is going to give, I think, Alabama and possibly if they meet at some point Georgia some fits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, they will have to go to Georgia. I think that's Tennessee's only tough game this year.
Let me see. Yeah. Well, they have Bama, Kentucky. I don't know if Kentucky's going to stay ranked. and then
We'll see
Georgia.
this week when they play Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Yes.
This
Yeah,
week is
that's
very
gonna be
tough.
that's-
We'll see about that.
Yeah.
That'll be a good game.
But Josh Field, props to Josh Heupel, dude. He got rained out of OU because everyone hated his offensive playing in OU. Now look at him. He's got literally a top 10 team now in Tennessee.
Tip it.
Yeah, tip the cap. Before we get to Kansas, because I think we all want to talk about
That's what
Kansas.
I want to talk about. I want to talk about Kansas.
I do want to talk about the fact that we did have Miami fall out of the top 25.
Oof.
Oh my god, dude.
Dude, oh,
That's
buddy.
How do you have so much potential going into the year and lose to Middle Tennessee State?
The U is back. The U is back.
Everyone was
is
about
back.
what?
And then you lose to A&M.
People
You score
forget.
9 points.
People
And you
forget-
caught at home against Middle Tennessee. And you lose by
Supposed to
2
be a bye
scores.
week, and you fucking
You lose by 2 scores.
you get
Don't get me wrong.
In this game. What was the spread in this game? Hold on. What the hell was the spread? Miami was favored by 25.5 points, and they lost by 14 points.
Oh, brother.
I wonder what the odds were if you bet Middle Tennessee to win by 2 scores.
They probably would have been hella good.
I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be on this podcast right now.
You know, it's gonna be $1.50. Cristobal, he does still. He recruits well, gets pro players. But let's remember what he did with he had Justin Herbert for a couple of years, and look what he just did. He just won a Pac-12 title with them. So
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I don't know if he's. I'm just probably just overreacting because he'll get his players in there eventually. It just takes time.
Yeah.
But
That's the thing.
that's a long-term project there.
I feel like anytime you have a new head coach go into a college program, like it's kind of a long-term project because realistically, you've got what? He's probably not going to get his guys like really into the system for at least 2 years, right? But then you're talking about they're probably sophomores. Maybe you got some transfers in, so you've got some older guys. But for the most part, you got to give them between 2 to 4 years. And a lot of these programs, I don't know.
Like win now.
Yeah, or like, hey, we
win
got to
now.
win now because like all this stuff. And it's like, you can't in college. It's different when you go to like the NFL in some ways and you can inherit like a decent team. Like I look at like when Brandon Staley got the Chargers from Anthony Lynn, and like he had a pretty fucking good team. And it was just like, okay, we got the quarterback. We've added a little bit of some depth in some positions. You can go, kind of thing. Or when I'm trying to think, or like the guy with the Vikings this year. I just forgot his name. Crap. He inherited a good team,
Yeah.
and it's just like, okay, you can do something with this team. It's not like you get given, like Doug Peterson gets given the Jags, and it's like, hey, we've been dog shit for the last 10 years.
Hey, build this. Credit to him. I'm going to
I
Perfect
example. I think the perfect example of letting someone take their time to build something back up is the current Florida State head coach. That dude, when he took over Florida State, was talk shit.
Yeah.
And now they're like, I think they're undefeated right now, and I think they play
They're
with another undefeated
respectable.
ring.
They're not-
Yeah, they beat LSU at New Orleans at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, which I mean LSU right now, I don't know if they're necessarily respectable.
Yeah. Florida State's got Wake Forest coming up.
Hey,
Yeah.
that'll be
Florida State's at 23, Wake's at 22.
Yeah, it's a top 25 matchup.
Yeah. That'll be a very telling game. Okay. Obligatory time for Kansas.
Love it.
I
love Kansas. I love Kansas.
This team's fun to watch. They're
Love
all just
Kansas.
so
They're
fun to
so
watch.
fun to watch.
Jalen Daniels. If Kansas keeps this up, Jalen Daniels is going to Heisman. That dude is different, bro. That guy is crazy.
He is crazy.
It just sucks that coach is leaving in like a year or two.
Yeah, I mean,
It
can
just
you
sucks.
look him up?
If Kansas,
Yeah, no,
if
I
he's
don't.
getting Kansas to do this, like absolutely, an SEC team comes and offers him like literally like top dollar and says, "Do that here."
No, but like I watched. I also bet on Kansas. So I was watching. I actually bet the over in this game. So I was watching this game. Granted, they were playing against Duke. I don't know how good Duke's supposed to be on defense, but Jalen Daniels and this Kansas offense, they were ripping them apart.
Yeah.
Daniels is athletic. He can throw the ball. He was 19 of 23, 324 yards, 4 touchdowns. Also ran for 83 yards and a touchdown. They've got 2 solid running backs in
That's a
High
pro
Sean
stat
Neal.
line right there.
Yeah, dude, it's like a Lamar Jackson-esque stat line. That's like when I watch Daniels play, I watch the whole game. When I watch Daniels play, I just saw Lamar Jackson. I mean, he's composed, he's calm, he can make plays happen with his legs, he can get out of the pocket, he can make throws out of the pocket. He's got solid IQ from what I saw. They haven't really gotten into like the deep Big 12 play, so we'll see really how he pans out. But he has looked very solid to start this season.
Yeah, I'm high on Kansas. Like you said, they haven't played the Big 12 yet. I'm wondering what that's going to look like. It's exciting for me, Eric. I know you're in Kansas right now. It's exciting for me since I have a bunch of KU grads in my family, and this is the first time I think I've seen them talk about football since they had that great season in 2006 or 7 with that terrible head coach. But
Kansas actually has a Big 12 win, by the way. They beat West
Virginia.
They beat West Virginia, yeah. Well, but I mean,
but I wouldn't consider West Virginia like a deep Big 12 team.
Like I'm looking like, okay, go play out.
They're bottom feeder now.
What is the Kansas's schedule, Eric? Can you pull that up? Do they play?
They play Iowa State this week, and Iowa State they're in Lawrence, and Iowa State is favored. So I'm going to hammer the shit out of KU this week.
Oh, dude, that's easy. That's easy.
Iowa State's favored by 3 points. Iowa State's got a good defense, but their offense has shown me nothing. I think if K-State scores enough or KU scores enough, we'll be good.
I'm curious what their away games are because I think that's when that's going to be their big deal.
Well, they've got Iowa State, and then they're at home against TCU, and then they've got back-to-back road games against OU and Baylor.
Oh, that's the real test right there, brother.
Can you win one of those? That's the question. Can you win one?
I think you can possibly win.
Meaning, can you beat Baylor?
Yeah.
Unless Baylor's beatable this year.
If OU is just completely defeated after this K-State loss, like there's a possibility. I'm not going to count that out but realistically, the question is, can they beat Baylor? And we're going to really see Baylor get tested this week. If we bounce to this next week's games.
Let's do it the next week.
Ooh, we got some doozies. But for us, right, we've already kind of talked about Texas Tech, K-State, and the fact that that's a game that's going to be, we're all going to be watching with how K-State played this last week and with how Texas Tech beat Texas. Like, we're going to watch that game. Oklahoma State and Baylor right now.
I'm not excited for this one.
I'm a little nervous, right? As like an OSU fan, like yikes! Like this is your test. You've had this is the test right here. If you lose this game by anything more than like 1 to 3 points, like I'm concerned for the rest of the season.
This is all I'm gonna say. Like you worked through all off season, you couldn't make that 1 yard. That whole offseason to win a Big 12 title. You're now facing against this team. You're on the road against this team. I really think Oklahoma State's going to go in there, and I think they're going to beat them. Like I think it's going to be 38-28.
I would love that.
Spencer Sanders has never played good against. I know, bro. Spencer Sanders never played well against them, but like, I think if Sanders wants to win, any talk about Heisman, he's got to go into Waco and play good. He can't turn the ball over.
I mean, last time he played these guys, Baylor took his shit in his mouth. Like they picked off 4 times in the Big 12 championship game.
Yes, but also those defensive backs aren't there.
Bad against Baylor.
He's bad against Baylor because Baylor runs primarily zone defense, and Spencer Sanders is a 1 to 2-ish read quarterback. Like he has these plays, he has things set in his mind, and he's definitely improved from his sophomore, junior, senior years. Even last year, he made the bad throws, but I don't know. He just needs to be
not just him too. It's also Dominic Richardson who has something to prove too. Couldn't make that 1 year too.
Yeah,
Dominic Richardson.
Yeah.
If Oklahoma State's going to win, Dominic Richardson needs to come out and make OSU's offense two-dimensional, because if Baylor stops him enough and they force OSU into the pass, Baylor is going to wipe
win this
OSU off the map.
It's either Richardson or Ollie Gordon's got to have to break it out.
You're going to have to use... You have to use your running backs, absolutely. I think also, you're talking about making this two-dimensional. This is going to be one of those games that we all hate, because Spencer's going to have to run.
I'm okay with that. I love Spencer running.
I mean
love
too,
Spencer in open
but
space.
also Spencer doesn't go down. He takes hits, and that
That's
scares
fine.
me. And so
He's at this point, I've seen him. What is his 5th year at Oklahoma State, 4th or 5th year? I've seen him take enough hits to the point where I trust him getting hit. Like it's weird to say,
yeah,
but like obviously I want him to get down, especially in big spots. But like if he's running free and he's making people miss, I'm like, go ahead, like do your thing.
Do your thing.
Just protect the ball. Just protect the ball. Like that's all I ask.
Plus, it's different when it's like against Arizona State when it's 34-10, and you really don't need to run with. Where now it's like the game's on the line against Baylor.
Yeah,
So like
you're gonna have to utilize him, make that offense as 2-dimensional as we can. There.
I'm also hoping.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm also hoping OSU opens up the playbook a little bit, like kind of designs some plays to scheme people open rather than just run their simple basic offense. Like no like trick play stuff, kind of. But
you've got some
more
really
than just
good
like
wide receivers that I think don't get enough love. Like
I think Jason Bray is coming back this week too.
I think this is the week that you need to again open up that playbook. Spencer Sanders needs to target 9 different receivers or something.
I love that. Cowboy backs too.
I wouldn't feel this confident if they weren't coming off a bye.
So, yeah,
I wouldn't feel as confident if they were coming off a bye.
Right.
That's why I think they're going to go in there and they're going to win by 10.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want to see Spencer Sanders run those bootleg options out of the pistol, where he has the little cowboy back sneaking out underneath. He can take that option. He's like a little simple high-low read, maybe like a backside in route on the opposite side, just something to like make him make a read, and if nothing's open, you can run the ball.
Yeah,
like absolutely. We need to I don't know.
Need to make something happen there.
Exactly. We can't just keep doing our basic stuff. That's all I'm saying.
I want to just bounce around and hit a couple of games this week because we're hitting on our time limit for college. Ole Miss, Kentucky. Like we said, that's a game that we're definitely going to have.
Statement game for Kentucky.
Mm-hmm. It is. Well, I mean, Kentucky's 7, Ole Miss is 14. This is your game, right? If you win this, like you're considered okay. Like, hey, you're gonna be a contender in the SEC this year. This is it, kind of thing. Alabama, Arkansas, like we talked about. I think you're right, Diesel. I think Arkansas gives Alabama some fits. I don't know if they necessarily win it, but
close.
It's gonna be close. And if they won, I don't think I'd be surprised. I think we all better put our friend Michael on fucking DUI watch or something like that.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, I think the early game, definitely the early game I'll be watching is Kentucky, Mississippi.
Yeah,
that's a big one for me, and then I'll watch Pokes Baylor.
I've got 2 TVs. If I can get the Arkansas Alabama game, I'll have that one on too. But otherwise, I'll be watching OSU Baylor.
Clemson's got another tough game this week too, with at home against NC State.
That's the nightcap.
I was literally about to get to that. Yep, NC State right there. Man, that's another one. That's one that's. I think that's the point where you're like, okay, if Clemson's defense isn't tight this game, they could lose this one 100%.
Yeah.
It's
gonna be a low score. I think it will be 51-45. I think it'll be.
Surely not.
No, I think it'll be like 28-21. But I think I don't know. I feel like Clemson's offense is just clicking now. Finally, particularly throwing back DJ and offense, the receiving core.
NC State's offense isn't anything to laugh at though. Like they can easily go toe to toe. I think with this Clemson offense in this game, and then it's just going to be which defense can actually make a stop. And
Devin O'Reilly he's a pro quarterback. Scout. I mean, the scouts are
if a team decides to need a quarterback, he's going in the first round. Like, I don't think we can doubt that. Minus the guys that are up. He's going to be kind of that guy that falls, but he's still a first round quarterback. Like, obviously, you've got your Stroud and all those guys up top, but he's somebody that you could easily see kind of in the teens in the NFL draft going. Somebody the Bears could easily take.
No.
The Bears?
No, dude.
Those guys.
Also, we hit it on it earlier, Diesel, before you start getting into that. Wake Forest, Florida State. That's another one. It's not one we're going to watch, but I'm definitely going to, pull it up on ESPN a couple times.
Yeah.
And be like,
If Clemson and NC State turns out to be a blowoff, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a game we're watching. Like we're watching the score. We're kind of watching what's happening. But no, Clemson NC State is a late game. It is 6:30.
The late game. Oh no, it's 2:30. Yeah, there's 3 good games on at 2:30.
Yeah. So, but that's I mean, you've got some other kind of games that like will be fun to watch, but not. They're mostly for their fans. I feel like if you're just talking games to be interested in, like I think we've kind of hit our point. Obviously, I think everybody here will also have alerts for the KU game. You know,
I'm
hammer that. But I want to bounce, as I say, to the men's league to the NFL because this was a week of heartbreaks, I think, for everybody in this call right now.
For the AFC West.
I mean, I felt defeated even though my team won.
You feel defeated even though your team won.
Like, oh my god.
Since we're talking about Clemson, we're talking about the Jags earlier. I do want to talk, Eric. It didn't look good. That loss, that Chargers loss to the Jaguars. I know.
You're telling me.
I almost wish that Justin Herbert had just sat out this week. Like, you guys could have taken the L and it would have been like, okay, we can chalk it to Herbert deciding to sit this week. But he decided to play. Made things,
yeah.
And it was like, it feels so bitter because it's like we had our starting quarterback play through injury to just get our teeth kind of kicked.
Body slammed. Yeah, I mean, the Chargers, so this is my first excuse. The Chargers had 8 players in the NFL top 100 prior to this season. 6 of them are now hurt.
You have a bunch of Pro Bowl talent that is hurt.
Plus Herbert. I mean, well, yeah, 6 of them, sorry. And a bunch of Pro Bowlers we just lost our left tackle, Rayshon Slater, for the year.
And Bosa. You lost Bosa for a couple weeks.
We lost Bosa early in the game, too. And that's really what, kind of chalked it. Because early, the opening drives we had, Bosa and Mac were both getting pressure. It was good. We were making Lawrence work. Offense didn't look good early. But we had a couple of bad turnovers early on, and then Jacksonville went down, and then our red zone defense stood up. It was 13-0. We went down, scored a touchdown, 13-7. I'm like, okay, we're okay. This isn't going to be the worst thing to ever happen to me. But then after we scored that touchdown,
Trevor Lawrence,
I think it was 16-7 going into the half. And then after that, it was just bad. The defense looked bad. The Jaguars' offense is good. It is very good.
Has made that team respectable. It really is. I don't want to say I feel bad because that's not true, but it goes to show man, what could have happened if Doug Peterson had this team last year and they hadn't done something stupid like drafted ETN and drafted a piece that actually would have been useful for that. I don't say that ETN's a stupid pick, but you had James Robinson. You probably didn't need a running back. He probably could have gone somewhere else and been okay. He would probably be doing really great in Baltimore right now.
I
can't
do
keep
think
a running back healthy to save their life.
I do think ETN is a good addition to this offense. He's kind of a nice change of pace back. He was really good out of the backfield for him, catching some passes. He caught a couple of balls out of the backfield, made a couple of guys miss. He looked like Austin Eckler on a couple of them. I was like, geez, I wish we'd use Eckler. We didn't. And then James Robinson is becoming the James Robinson of Christmas past or whatever the hell. I don't know how that term is. Right. He looked outstanding. He was good. And it seemed like everything the Jaguars were doing on offense worked. And that's what was pretty telling to me. They have kind of sneaky weapons. I feel like every time I looked down, Zay Jones was catching the ball. He had 10 catches in this one. They also have Christian Kirk, and they spent the most money in free agency.
They did.
So it makes sense. But they're just going to kind of be little ankle biters this year. They're a good team.
And they're going to cause problems on those wide receivers and stuff like that. They weren't necessarily name guys oh my goodness, but they're guys that fit positional roles that Doug Peterson wanted, and now he's showing us he knew something that the rest of the world didn't on some of these guys.
That's exactly what I was going to say. They fit the scheme. They want to run, and their offense works. They have 2 good running backs. They have a future superstar quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, who's finally sort of coming around now that he has a good coach. And I'm all in on the Jaguars. Chargers got a lot of work to do. I think the Chargers overcome injuries. They'll be okay.
Yeah.
Make some adjustments to the offensive line.
It's a long season.
Yeah, we're getting Keenan Allen back this week. J.C. Jackson will be back soon.
Exactly.
Bosa didn't go on IR today. So that's good.
That is
And
a plus.
we have a fairly.
You did put Guyton on IR though.
Yeah, but he was like wide receiver 5 for us, so that's not like terrible.
My boy.
Well, at least the good thing is Mike Williams is starting to rise up too.
Yeah,
he's stepping up big time.
I think that was the problem with the offense though. Is without Keenan Allen, Mike Williams is going to get double covered, bracketed. He's not the best receiver at creating space for himself. But once Keenan Allen comes back, I'm not worried about the offense.
Yeah,
I think Herbert and the guys will do fine next week against the Texans.
Yeah.
Should bounce back. Should. If we don't, then it's dropped. Throw it all away.
Who's you guys back up LT?
A horrible player named Storm Norton who allowed 9 pressures on 23 dropbacks for Herbert last week when he came in. But I think we made
you picked up somebody from the Eagles today.
Yeah, I saw that. We picked up a tackle from the Eagles. I think we're going to work him out in practice and see how he is. And then we might try to sift some stuff around because we drafted a guard that was pretty good in the preseason.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
If Lindley's okay, too, right? Because I thought he went...
I don't know. I don't know if he's okay. He is, like, he's, like, the key to the run game for the Chargers, I think. Mm-hmm. But, I don't know. We'll see. If Storm Norton's starting at left tackle, Herbert might die next week. So, we'll see. We'll see. But I think we'll bounce back. 2-2, here we come. Cheers to that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But can we? I just want to get it out of the way real quick because I want to talk about my loss because I'm.
Oh boy! Oh boy!
Oh brother!
So I'm going to start for the Chiefs. I thought the Chargers' loss was bad. I think the Chiefs, despite only losing by 3 points, this loss was close to as bad. Just because the Chiefs the Colts hadn't shown anything this year.
So I want to hit a bunch. I want to hit a bunch of things on this because there's so many things that I watched. I watched that game. It's the first game this year. I mean, I shouldn't say that because I watched the Chargers game against the Chiefs, like when we played through and through. I didn't really watch Arizona through and through because we kind of were kicking their teeth in, and then they kicked us off the game and moved us to the other game that was more interesting. It seemed like from the get-go, the offense just wasn't what it should have been. Mm-hmm. From the get-go. And I don't want to say I blame any of the players necessarily. I really look at the fact that, and we saw it kind of right there, and everyone made this huge deal, and Andy Reid's kind of trying to put it down. Mahomes was pissed as fuck at the end of the first half when Bieniemy didn't let him take a shot. And
rightfully so.
And I think rightfully so, because here's the thing. First off, we're trusting Amendola, who finally they cut him after this last week. They cut him. They cut him.
Oh, of course, he makes only picks versus the Chargers, and then
thoughts and prayers.
An egg.
I don't have thoughts and prayers. I think
believe that
Rice, he's gone. I'm hoping Butker comes back, but I was that whole game after he missed it extra point. I'm like, I don't care. Put Justin Reed in the kick. Like I don't care. But you've got time. You're at you're 45. Why are you not giving it to your best player on your team to try and make a play happen? And it's the same at the end of the game. You put too much pressure on him. I texted you guys. I said this game right here is textbook why Eric Bieniemy will never get a head coaching gig. I have
a question for you.
He didn't take the shots that he could have taken. There were plenty of mistakes. You run a fake field goal. Instead of if you're going to go for it on fourth down, why do you not give it to your offense that is fucking loaded?
That was the one I didn't get either.
Why the fuck are we running?
You have Mahomes, the best quarterbacks in the league. You want to do a fake field goal?
What do we do? Why? I get the element of surprise or whatever, but
I do have one question for you,
on that team that could have done that. What's up?
Do you think the Chiefs would go for it, take a shot if Tyreek Hill's still on the team?
No.
Oh, you're going for that, dude.
Here's why. No, because even when we had Tyreek Hill on the team, Eric Bieniemy wouldn't fucking go for that. There were plenty of times that we could have won games going for it on fourth down, and we had Tyreek Hill, and it didn't happen. He just didn't go for it. Eric Bieniemy's not the guy that likes to go for it unless if it's within the 4th and 4. He just doesn't. And so I don't think we go for it in that situation because it was 4th and 10 when we kicked that field goal.
Yeah.
And we tried a 10-yard fake field goal. Like, that's ridiculous to begin with. Travis Kelce missing that touchdown at the very end of the game. It literally went right through his hands, and he knew it. It was like, ugh. That's like, tough.
Yeah, I mean...
I'm not like I said, I'm not upset at Kelce.
For him.
I'm not upset at Kelce for that. Those things happen. The thing that pisses me off, I get it. We got to have unsportsmanlike conduct and stuff like that.
I didn't see this. penalty. Was it really that bad?
There wasn't any sign that anything bad was said. Like, there wasn't... Matt Ryan and Chris Jones are both laughing, like, in the frame, and this ref throws a flag and calls unsportsmanlike conduct. It's a 15-yard penalty. Matt Ryan was going to the sideline. He was almost to the sideline when he heard the penalty call, and he's like, oh, shit, that means we get to fucking go back. The punt team was on its way out. Nobody felt like that penalty was worth it. At the end of a game, I don't care... Unless if he's saying, like, something extremely racial or extremely derogatory. It was on Chris Jones.
It was on the final drive,
on
too.
the final drive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. It changed the tide of the game. I understand that things can't be said. Words cannot be what dictates the way a game is decided.
I agree.
I get it. And if you want to penalize us after the punt and say, like, hey, personal conduct, or you want to fine the fuck out of Chris Jones after that game, I got no problems with it. Fine, that makes sense. But when you're going to dictate a game based on the words that he said, when he's laughing and Matt Ryan was laughing, like, obviously these two competitive individuals understood that something competitive was said and that it's all part of the game. And so I felt like that was like the softest way to end a game was, let me throw this flag. And they do. They run the ball. They run the clock all the way down. Mahomes gets 30 seconds. And again, go back to play calling. I didn't feel like we were aggressive enough on our play calling at the end of the game.
That's all there was to it.
My thing is you don't have a gun like a superstar receiver now. You have to run the ball, in my opinion, more often. And what I'm seeing here is that they ran the ball 23 times and they only got 58 yards the entire game. I don't care how good of an offense. I don't care how good of a quarterback you have. You can't win games if you don't run the ball at least more than that.
And special teams.
It's
Sky Moore muffs a punt on the 7-yard line, and it goes down to the 5, and they get the ball inside the 5 in the first quarter, and then he muffs another one. Actually, he didn't muff another one. They knocked it out of his hands after, like, he fumbled it later on in the game. I caught inside the 15, and they got another one off.
Yeah.
Like, 2 special team mistakes back to back. Basically, right there, if you take away those and say, okay, well, we punt it away later, like, Chiefs win that game. Like, we're ahead. Those simple mistakes that let the Colts in that game. The Colts, from what I saw through that game, they're still not a great team. They still got a long way to go. They just took advantage of the opportunities that were given. Going back to, we didn't take advantage of opportunities when we had opportunities to throw it down the field when we had 15 seconds left and a half and just see if we can make something happen.
Shout out Jelani Woods.
Yeah. OSU alum. Hell yeah.
Go Pugs.
But I'm moving on from this game. It's they kind of said, like, new week, new game plan.
Well,
come out and
that's kind of what I'm doing too.
I'm not good. But yeah.
You guys, Bears played horrible, yet still somehow won that game.
And we ran the ball 40 times and 285 yards.
My bench.
Khalil Herbert is. Oh my gosh! I wish.
Montgomery got hurt. Montgomery got hurt.
Play Herbert more.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Montgomery didn't have like the extra juice that Herbert's had so far this season. I'll give him that. Herbert's looking good, but like, and honestly, this offensive line is, when it's run offense, they maul the shit out of people. It's actually sick.
It's just pass blocking that's like.
It's the pass blocking is just ass, and like it doesn't. Like, okay, I was telling my friends this. I feel that Fields has digressed since last year. I saw what he did against Pittsburgh. I know he can ball. I don't know what he's freaking out about. It goes back to what I told you guys at the beginning of the year. This front office and this head coach don't trust him.
No,
They're not giving him a shot at all. They never give him a shot because look what Jalen Hurts got. He got AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Look what Tua's got. He's got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. What does Justin Fields has?
nothing.
Darnell Mooney, who's the wide receiver 3 playing wide receiver 1.
Yeah.
Like they're not in Cole Kmet. He got his first catch.
You guys
this week,
have
finally.
running backs in
3
Montgomery
weeks.
and Herbert, and then that's pretty much it. Like it's kind of ass.
Dude, no, we got a triple option. That's what we got.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Do it.
Are you serious?
If the Bears pull out a triple option, I would fucking
No,
shit
honestly,
right
that's
now.
what they should do. Because you've got a good running back in Montgomery, you got a great running back in Herbert, from what I've seen. Apparently, if Montgomery's missing time, then Herbert's my running back one on my big fantasy team.
Absolutely, I'm doing that too.
No, dude, Herbert's a legit RB running back 1 move, just for sure.
You've got a quarterback that can run, and I mean, he's shown he can throw. He hasn't really shown it much this year. He's made a couple of good throws, but like other than that, not much. But if you really like establish that sort of like triple option offense, you can sort of get Kmet more involved too. You can get Mooney involved, like more involved in the offense. I think.
St. Brown,
Hell, you might even.
I can't say his love first now. I feel like I'm fucking it up.
You can
But
save
Ron's
N'Keal
brother-
Harry.
Yeah, like they got receivers that can block. That's what they did.
Yeah,
N'Keal Harry can block
You got
better
big
than he can
bodies.
play.
it would work out, especially with how good the Bears defense is too. If you can just run that clock down and like force offenses to like make plays, the Bears defense can make plays.
I still don't think this defense is that good. I don't think.
It's better. It's a little better than average, and that's all you really need if you don't have a triple option team.
I feel
That's
hopeful. I feel hopeful for the secondary in the future. Like I really feel hopeful with Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gore. Kyler Gore's getting baptized in fire right now, but he's gonna get better. The same thing with Javon Diggs.
Absolutely.
He's getting baptized by fire. I mean, yeah, he got a lot of picks, but Kyler Gore, that's not his play style. He just wants to shut people down. Diggs is the one that just hungry for the ball.
You've got a lot of young pieces that are looking good. You really do. I feel like you guys are going to have to kind of do what the Jags did this offseason, and you're going to have to spend. You're gonna. Well,
we got the most money going into next year.
You've got to go out and spend
Make it happen.
Make it happen. Bring in the pieces that you need. I would assume that Eberflus kind of and the front office recognized that this year was probably not going to be the greatest. Hey, you've got some wins. That's fine. I mean, I don't think you guys expected to win the NFC North especially with how the Vikings and Packers looked. But
I don't think this team's 3-14 like everyone thinks they are. I think they're 6-11, 7-10.
That's fine. That's a good year.
I don't. And like they already won a game they should have won with the 49ers. To be honest, like they should have not won. But
49ers, man. You guys were looking so good.
That game was the worst game I've ever seen in my life. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Dude, it was prime time television. 11-10 game.
Dog shit.
So Russell Wilson, are we talking about that game?
Let's bounce.
Yeah, let's talk about it. I want to talk. Yeah.
So Russell Wilson is not at all what I thought he'd be with the weapons he has on this Broncos offense. And while they're not, like we've said, the greatest weapons, you've got a deep threat in Sutton, a route runner in Judy. You got Alberto at tight end. He's good. You've got Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon coming out of the backfield.
You know what this problem? You know what the problem with them is? They don't build this offense around the running backs. What they should be doing. They're building the offense around Russell Wilson. That's not what they're supposed to do. That's not what they should be doing.
That's not what Pete Carroll did when Russell Wilson was good.
Yeah.
They should be handing the ball to Javonte Williams 20 to 25 times a game.
Exactly.
Minimum.
Melvin Gordon should just be like not even like a change of pace guy, just like give Javonte a breather guy. Because Melvin, he fumbled 3 times, I think, in this game. He recovered all of them. Javonte is a much better runner, but Melvin Gordon gets the goal line carries. Williams a more physical runner.
Fucking hurts my fantasy team.
But
I don't even know
wasn't he like a top 10 pick like a top 10 pick for fantasy this year, Javonte?
Yeah, he was.
He should have been, but they're using them. They're using their running backs. The Jets are using their running backs, and they're like split time. Let's see who takes the job. When it should just be Javonte taking the job.
Javonte's the job, and we look at this. We knew this year was going to be telling. For one of two things. Either Russell Wilson was going to fucking blow, and it was, okay, Pete Carroll made Russell Wilson, or Russell Wilson was going to come out and light a fire, and all of a sudden it was Pete Carroll was holding Russell Wilson back. And right now it is looking like, no, Pete Carroll made Russell Wilson with the way this year has gone. Now, there's plenty of season left. There's plenty of time for them to turn that around. But from everything I've seen from Russell Wilson, this whole let Russ cook thing, it was more like, let Russ throw a microwave meal in the fucking microwave.
Kind of check down is what they're doing right now.
Like, people, this is another thing. Everyone wants to compare the shit with him and Peyton Manning. Dude, Peyton Manning went to a playoff team. Okay? There's a complete difference. This playoff team...
different.
Playoff team led by Tim Tebow.
Even then, he goes to a team, mind you, that I think everyone can say that Broncos defense that Peyton had is substantially better than the Broncos defense that Russell has right now.
This defense is talented.
It's not
Broncos
bad,
defense is talented.
But look at the offense that Peyton had. Vaughn with Aqib Talib, like... I don't think that we've got Patrick Surtain is there, and I don't think Bradley Chubb is there.
Gross. Bradley Chubb is good.
Surtain's good.
I'm not saying that they're not gross, but you can't tell me they're as good as the prime that we had of Vaughn.
No.
I'm not saying that the defense is bad. I'm just saying it's not what Peyton got.
Discrediting that defense. They've allowed more than 10 points once. And granted, they played Houston, San Francisco, and Seattle. But, I mean, you should have won with... The Denver Broncos should be 3-0 right now.
The problem is not the defense. The problem is the offense, and that's in head coaching. Coaching. That's the main issue.
I was just saying you can't compare it to Peyton because what Peyton inherited, especially on the other end of the ball. Like, I'm not saying that the defense they have is bad, but the Denver Bronco defense that Peyton got was the number 1 rated defense that year. This one's a top 5. Okay, that's still not bad. I'm not saying that's terrible, but that's not the best defense in the NFL. And you talk about receivers, right? Okay, Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy are both good receivers. But right now, the only one that I really am like, this is the guy that I think can be something, is Jeudy. Like, Cortland's a clear wide receiver too. Jeudy is like, he's the guy that you've got to develop for Russ. Yeah. He's the guy you got to turn into his...
2 catches this game.
Yeah.
And Sutton had almost 100 yards. You're targeting Sutton more.
Sutton right now is definitely. I mean, with Russ.
There's only been one defense that's been impressing the shit out of me so far, and I hate saying this. It's the Cowboys defense, man.
Oh my god!
I want to talk.
Dude, I'm sorry.
I want to talk about the Cowboys.
That pass rush
I want to talk about the Cowboys for a minute, but I do want to go back and say, Russell Wilson's best years that he had. Who were his 2 receivers? It was Tyler Lockett and Doug Baldwin, if I remember right. Talk about a guy that like falls out of your memory. I feel like he doesn't have that guy that was the go up and get the ball. Judy's a route runner, but I haven't seen him moss a guy, right? I don't see him go up and get those 50-50 balls.
So you tell me
Sutton is that,
the Broncos and he's also dogging him.
Yeah, exactly. Sutton is that, and Sutton's the Tyler Lockett type because he's the guy that you send on these routes and he gets open. Lockett was that at that time, like when Russ was like going to Super Bowls. So I feel like Sutton is this guy that you've got 2 wide receivers that Russ had as 1. And Jerry Jeudy's is like, he's the guy that I need to see him. I need to see him run like a double post and take it 50 yards or something like that. So that way then I'm like, okay, here we go. Because right now it seems like they're just trying to turn him into Michael Thomas 2.0, Mr. Slantman. So, but the Cowboys, because I saw something today that blew my mind. But I want to talk about the defense before I talk about the offense. You're completely right, Diesel. that pass rush is disgusting. For a team that we looked at coming in and said, you lost pieces. You lost Randy Gregory to the Broncos.
I still have Michael Parsons though.
You still have Michael Parsons, and it's like he took on the role of like 3 people, and he's just barreling through these offensive lines, and it's like
it's actually
everyone
insane.
always. I kind of thought it was a little crazy at first. People were like, "Offensive Player of the Year" or "Defensive Player of the Year," not offensive. Defensive Player of the Year at the very beginning of the year, because I'm like, guys, he's the only guy on their team. Really, when it comes to defense, I mean, you got Trayvon Diggs, so you're like, okay, but like you said, trial by fire this year. They were going to target him. And Michael Parsons has stepped up immensely.
I mean, Parsons has really always been the guy. He's on the defense since last year, at least. He's just been not really even a spark plug, just a playmaker for them. And I'm impressed too with their defense. I mean, they shut down a very solid Danny Dimes last night in primetime in New York. But I want to talk about Cooper Rush a little bit.
Yes.
Just a little bit. And Tony Pollard. I want to talk about Tony Pollard too. Cooper Rush, I think Cowboys fans, right when Dak went down, thought, this year's over, whatever. But Cooper Rush has come out and he's not horrible. He's not bad. He's getting the job done. He's doing what you need him to do. And you've got a good running back tandem in Zeke and Pollard. I think the Cowboys are going to be okay, especially if the defense keeps playing the way it's playing. You just can't have Cooper Rush like throwing games away and stuff, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. My thing with Cooper is, Dak would also play really well too if the running game was playing like this and a play action and a simple play action pass. To be honest,
do you think they try to go like too pass heavy with Dak and they kind of forget about the run game when Dak's in?
Absolutely.
But you simplify the offense more with Rush and you go back to what it should be with Dak. Is that what you're?
Absolutely.
100%.
When they made the play, that Zeke was carrying that team throughout the playoffs, and Dak was looking to play action pass. So I know the receiving core is way better than it was before, but
here's the thing that I had a question for because I saw a headline today and it made me want to vomit, which was Jerry Jones thinks that there's a possibility if Cooper Rush keeps up this success, he's going to have a QB controversy in Dallas.
There should be a controversy. You paid
Dak
a
fuck ton of money. If you don't trust him, then you should have traded him to Seattle this offseason. Or you should still do that if that's the case.
He's doing his job as the backup quarterback, not making mistakes and making the right decisions as a quarterback, and making sure you don't make the mistakes that the team loses to. That's how I feel about it.
He's also, like you said, Diesel, he's showing them what the offense should be to have success with Dak. Because if you have a better quarterback in Dak running this offense that they're running right now, like you said, like the play actions and like sort of establishing the run game first and foremost over everything, then the Cowboys they're gonna make a run in the playoffs. You would think.
Yeah,
I
think they would if they stick with this format. I mean, run the ball with Tony and Zeke. Like, you have a lightning and thunder combo. Zeke with the thunder and Tony with the lightning. Like, you know,
awesome.
Yeah, Tony's so fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But we shit on CeeDee Lamb for the first 3 weeks. But hey, online harassment worked because he pulled off a baller of a touchdown catch last night.
You're completely right. You have that running back tandem, and you need to utilize that. If you can get Michael Gallup healthy, then and Dalton Schultz completely healthy.
If Chase Washington also comes back too, then you're also
you've got this offense that you can absolutely go with. You've got a defense that's playing fairly well, right? Dan Quinn has those boys coming, and I look at it and I'm like, this is what the offense, like you said, this is what the offense should have been with Dak. Hell, I feel like they tried to make things too complicated for Dak because they paid him all this money. And they're like, okay, you're our superstar quarterback. And then they threw in an offense that, like, I'm sorry, Dak, when he was at Dak's rookie year, they dumbed down a Tony Romo offense for Dak. And then...
And look what it did. It got him to
got him to the fucking playoffs. Yeah. And so it's like, why are you complicating things right now? Because he's the guy that you paid a fuck ton of money to. Like, he did his best when you simplified it and you either let him run because the defense has figured you out, or CeeDee Lamb gets open, or you throw a 50-50 ball to Michael Gallup, or Dalton Schultz has a hitch or an out route and he's right there, or you've got Pollard running. Pollard can probably burn a motherfucker on a wheel route. Like, you've got these options here, and finally we're seeing the way this offense should have been ran.
Not with their superstar quarterback.
No, I feel like McCarthy came in here and went to Kellen Moore and said, "Hey, we're going to run this shit like we got Aaron Rodgers in the room." And you don't have Aaron Rodgers in the fucking room. You don't.
That's what they did. I mean, it came back to bite them early, but now this should be eye-opening if you're the Cowboys. You're like, hey, this is working for us. We trust our defense. We can run the ball. We got 2 great running backs.
But it's not going to happen.
Yeah. No, it's not going to happen because the team's run by Jerry Jones. That's
Well, and the thing is, I don't even think it's that. Dak's going to come back, and they're going to say, okay, Dak's back. Like, we want some explosive plays.
Now we can throw the ball.
Now we can throw the ball. Now we can do all this stuff. And it's just going to happen again. In reality, it should be, especially if you're going to push him back as fast as he's coming back, even though they were saying it was going to be 6 weeks. He's come back in 4 weeks. You need to run the ball those next 2 weeks as much as possible. So that way then he can kind of come back into throwing form as best as possible. And the problem is, with Jerry Jones wanting to show for America's team, you're not going to get that. I bet you play 1 when Dak comes back, they're going to try some fucking throw.
Play action shot play to CeeDee Lamb, 50 yards down the field.
Something like that. And it's going to be like, why the fuck are you doing that with your quarterback who just got back?
Yeah.
Oh, so many things. So many things.
Do we have time for one more game?
I'm going until we clear the list. Like, if we go overtime, then we go overtime.
Okay. We got Buffalo, Miami.
It's the height of the season and everything.
It's the height of the season. You and I both had some pretty fucked up losses, so we kind of had to get some shit off our chest. We had a couple extra minutes. Absolutely.
We got Buffalo, Miami for this one. Miami, this is a prove-it game, and you came out against a Buffalo team that was... Buffalo's secondary is hurt. Their defense is battered up a little bit. Stephon Diggs cramped up at the end of the game, but I don't know. The Dolphins got it done.
Freeze. No Micah Hyde, no Jordan Poyer, no Tre'Davious White. Then you lose both of your starting D tackles. So not only do you not have a fucking pass rush now, you don't have a secondary to cover. I'm sorry. This was basically the saying, like, this is here, Miami. Here's your win for the year. You got one against a good team, with an asterisk next to it, and when Buffalo's healthy and goes to play in Miami, I hope they drop fucking 50 on them, because
they'll be in Buffalo next time.
Oh, is it in Buffalo next time? Great, even better. They'll drop 60 on them then.
They're gonna murder the Dolphins when they come up to Buffalo, because it's gonna be in the winter, and Miami's gonna be like, all right, well, we beat these guys last time, let's go do it again, and then they're just gonna eat their shit.
Yeah, especially if their defense can come back healthy. Like, and I know they can. Like, obviously, they lost. Is it Hyde that they lost for the whole year? So, like, you do have one safety spot. That's a little delay. But Tre'Davious White will come back. Jordan Poyer will come back. You'll get Ed Oliver and Jordan Phillips back, and you'll be all right. You know.
They go back to Buffalo in mid-December. So best of luck, Miami.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
I expect Josh Allen to absolutely just have a game when that happens. But what we did see was Miami is real. Miami is a team too. We kind of like said it the first 2 weeks, like, hey, Miami doesn't look that bad. We're kind of at this point where, like, okay, Miami's a team. They're gonna be really good. McDaniels has this team going. I look at this game and I'm like, great, you won by, I forget how much, what was the final score?
21-19.
21-19, so you won by 2 when they didn't have a defense.
But Buffalo controlled the
game because they didn't have a defense. They had to do that, otherwise you were going to let Miami with Tyreek Hill, who's going up against maybe XFL level players, like, he was just going to burn the shit out of them.
Listen to this. Buffalo had drives of 10 plays, 14 plays, 20 plays, and 17 plays.
They had 31 first downs that game.
Yeah. They had a 17-play drive that ended in turnover on downs. A 20-play drive that ended up in a field goal. 14-play touchdown, 10-play touchdown. Tua threw the ball 18 times.
Yeah.
But when the Miami offense was out there, they didn't look horrible.
No.
Tua had 5 incomplete passes. I don't think he should have come back into the game. I really liked that they're looking into the concussion protocol thing. That was kind of ridiculous.
They did come out on that. They did talk about that.
He was broken.
He had a concussion. Absolutely. I feel like I don't think we're out of that. McDaniels came out and said that what Tua said was it was his back that hurt, and that's why he was all fucked up. Which wouldn't be impossible since he's had back injuries before. Like,
yeah, but would it make him like stumble like that? His knees like buckled.
Yeah, so I believe it all the way until the knee is buckling. Where I'm like, okay, like
his knees are buckling because he's carrying the whole city on his back, bro.
Dude,
he's carrying the whole city of Miami on his back.
I don't think I think he should have. He at least should have sat out the rest of the quarter while you evaluated him. And I hope that they come back and they say, "Nah, you still shouldn't have put him in," and that's great. But again, I go back to yes, the Dolphins' offense looked real. Buffalo did what they had to do to try and win this game, and they did a really damn good job of it because it was only a 2-point game. And so I don't look at this as, oh, the Bills, how bad the Bills were, or how great Miami is. Like, I feel like this was just kind of a game that I'm like, hey, it happened. Buffalo, like I said, had 6 starters because their third string corner was out too. So it was like, you were playing against their backup defense, basically. I would have hoped that Miami would have scored more. Tyreek Hill didn't do anything this game, it felt like, because they did. They played their corners defense like they always do.
Yeah, he only had 2 catches.
They played their corners defense like they always do. They made them have to beat them over the middle, and they did it. But it was just one of those things where I'm like, the game happened. I wish Buffalo had won, but Miami got their win. They'll split the series 1-1, and then it's going to come down to playing the rest of that division.
Miami had the ball 8 times in this one. I'm trying to find the time of possession here.
Buffalo had 40 minutes of possession time.
40 minutes to Miami's 19.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean,
what are you going to do? If someone tells you...
The Dolphins' defense forced a turnover. They got gifted a touchdown there with the fumble. And they put together 2 good drives. And that's really all you needed at this point in the game. Other than that, they just punted.
Yeah.
That was it. I mean, good on Tua for not turning the ball over. It's just defense. But Jesus.
Absolutely.
It was a weird game.
It was a weird game. Not a weird game, though. The Eagles just handled their shit.
They're the best team in the NFL right now. Right now, the best team in the NFL.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, they're good. They can literally stop playing in the second half.
Yeah, that's really it.
Absolutely could have.
Trying
to pull. Yeah, no, absolutely. They could have just laid back.
You're gonna double team AJ Brown. Oh, Devontae Smith. Bro. Oh,
yeah. Double. Carson Wentz just came out and kind of showed us that he's still Carson.
Yeah, he's bum. Actually, I got trouble for league.
Yikes. Also, just Vikings came back and kind of showed us they were still the Vikings again. I think, was it last week that they lost?
They got
kind of like
by the Eagles.
Just don't play on primetime. They're good.
Yeah, easy. Just don't play on primetime and you're good. I really thought the Lions were going to have... Like, the Lions played that game really well. I know we're all Lions, kind of partial Lions fans here with the way that the Rodrigo's been playing and they're a great storyline for this year, absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got. I mean, I have other things that we could hit on, but they're not like necessarily storylines or big pieces. I mean, besides Kyler Murray did not play great, and it was the COD beta this weekend, so
that's a storyline.
That's a storyline there. That's a thing right there. But
really quick, going back to the Eagles, Jalen Hurts right now is
he's breaking records right now.
I don't want to say the best quarterback in the game, but he is fantastic right now. And giving him AJ Brown, like I said last week, the sky's the limit for the Eagles. The sky's the limit for the Eagles as a team right now because their defense looks good too. Their defense looks great. So I don't know. They keep this up.
See what happens when you don't keep up with your quarterback after one season? That's crazy, right?
It's quite a concept.
So I talked about last week how he broke a couple of Mike Vick records.
What are you saying, Diesel?
Nothing at all.
This week, he broke another record, which he became the first quarterback ever in the first 3 weeks of a season to have I think it's over 900 passing yards and over 150 rushing yards.
That's nuts.
Ever in the first 3 weeks of a season. First ever.
I feel like that'd be a record Lamar would break. But I
you
guess
would
not.
think, right? Especially Lamar early on.
With how well he's
they
playing
never
right now.
gave Lamar the receivers to do it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if they had gone out and gotten some receivers to do it, like maybe, but he hasn't really had that receiving core to do so. I think so. That's kind of where that is. But no, they went out and gave Jalen what he needed, and he's come out and absolutely balled.
I guess
I don't
Mark Andrews
disagree
is the
with
only
you.
thing Lamar needs.
I don't say that. I need Bateman to do well. I invested heavily into Bateman this year.
Sure.
But no, yeah, he's playing out of his mind right now. That team is just they're the best team in the NFC.
Yeah.
I think aren't they the only undefeated team right now? I think they are. No, it's them and the Dolphins are the only two undefeated teams right now. So I think we kind of said at the beginning of the year this was going to be the Eagles' year, right? They're going to go and do great things this year.
If anything, this is the year to do it.
This is the year, and I don't think any of us would be surprised if the Eagles were in the Super Bowl. Now, who's going to be playing against them right now with the way the AFC team,
No
AFC
clue.
looks like the fucking Big 12 right now? Who knows?
No clue.
No clue.
Yeah, the NFC is bad. It's down bad this year. Like
It was just crazy because we were all like, "Oh my gosh, the AFC is so stacked." And, like we knew teams were going to lose because of how stacked the AFC is. But like, there are some points in this like where you're like, "Wow!" Like the Chiefs and Colts, or not Colts, the Chiefs and Chargers both should have not lost this week had they been at full strength and had everything had been playing the way the rest of the season had been playing. Like you would have expected that. Like the both of those had won. You wouldn't expect Jacksonville to be out here winning the AFC South. Like, you expected the Colts were going to have that.
I mean, I would assume they were win it next year. I didn't want to think they were going to win it this
Didn't think they
year.
were going to win this year.
Yeah.
The Colts is a team that interests me because you would think they would go for a wide receiver in the draft. But if Matt Ryan doesn't turn out to be what they think, Frank Reich may go for a fucking quarterback. He may take that guy from NC State.
We'll see. I mean,
Who
Yeah,
knows?
there's
still super early. Still super early to make like
There
a
ain't
true
tons of football left.
evaluations
Yeah.
of it.
Tons of
But
football.
what we've got right now, it looks like right now the Eagles are those guys at the moment.
Yeah.
The only thing I can tell you for a fact is that I think that Green Bay is. I was kind of wrong because I thought Green Bay would just be fine. There's some glaring issues in Green Bay still. Like,
Yes.
that's.
There are some glaring issues in
Yeah,
Green Bay.
like, I mean,
And
you
I-
can't just expect these young receivers just to step up. Like, yeah, and you got freaking 40-year-old Randall Cobb being the best receiver for the team.
Yeah, like you can't expect him to come in and replace Devontae Adams.
As the season goes, I think they get better and they'll be fine because those guys will start to figure it out and line up. But
Yeah.
if you are realistically, if you're anybody in the NFC North, and I'm realistically talking about the Vikings, you need to take advantage of this early season while they don't have it figured
Yeah.
out, and you need to generate your lead so that way then once they start to catch up, once they get in stride, you have a couple of games you on them that it's like, oh, if you manage to lose to, I don't know who they play at the end of the season, but if you play a really fucking good team later on and you lose to them, it's not going to cost you the division because you've generated that lead. Right now, they're still right there. They haven't generated that lead. It's granted it's only 3 weeks, but you gotta do it. You gotta do it. This is
So
the
the Vikings, their next 4 games are in London against the Saints,
hopefully
at
Derby.
home against the Bears. That should be a win for them.
win.
They go to Miami,
Ooh, that'll be
A
fun.
big game.
and they have the
Yo.
Cardinals at home.
So as of
Which,
right now,
uh,
you could
What weekend is the
probably
game against the Cardinals? What weekend is the game against the Cardinals? October what?
Yeah, they're gonna win.
Is it October 28th? That
Yeah.
weekend?
Yeah.
That's the weekend Card comes out. No. The Cardinals aren't doing it.
game over. Well, alrighty. I think that's kind of gonna be it for us today, guys. We've talked a lot. We've gone a little bit over time. That's fine.
Aaron Judge still hasn't hit 61. Coward.
No, I think he's pressing too hard. From what's that bats are showing me, he's trying too hard. He's just got to do what he's doing.
What?
I mean,
What I missed?
Aaron Judge hasn't hit 61 yet. I think he's pressing a little bit. He'll do it.
He will, but yeah, I think he's trying a little too hard. You got to kind of pull a Pujols and just let him come to you.
Before we go, I just want to say I love shit that went down over the weekend with college football fans and baseball fans about ABC and ESPN going double screen for his at bats while college football was going on. I loved it.
I love that, yeah.
Against
were college football fans like, oh, I don't
what
care
the
about
fuck's this
baseball
shit?
Yeah,
exactly.
You got the northern. You got the
about it.
guys like.
Yeah.
So
they were all pissed
yeah,
off.
it was a good Twitter time.
It is a great.
There's always a good time on Twitter during football season.
I mean,
every week.
Every Friday through Monday, it is abysmal.
It's crazy that app is still free. It's insane.
That's what I've been saying for years.
That app is something else. But I think with that, guys, we're going to call this a night. I can't wait to talk to you boys again next week.
Sir, should be a good week.
Yep.
Yes, sir. We'll see, I'll see everybody next week. And thank you for listening. Be sure to hit subscribe and come back and watch us again next week.